No one prepares you for the moment when the guy who spends most of his time mocking you accidentally lets his guard down and whispers your name like a prayer. And no one tells you what to do when your chest aches so hard you can barely breathe because you realize you've been waiting to hear it all along. The sound of his voice still echoed in my skull, hours after practice had ended, long after the gym had emptied and the faint squeak of sneakers on polished wood had faded into silence. I was supposed to be focusing on my homework, on the essay due tomorrow, on anything other than him. But all I could think about was the way Ryan Archer, our team's star forward, arrogant as hell, and infuriatingly magnetic, had muttered under his breath when he thought I was too far away to notice. I love him. The words weren't meant for me, but God, they stuck like fire in my veins. I sat at my desk, the glow of my laptop screen washing over me, but none of the words on the page made sense. My fingers hovered uselessly over the keyboard, tapping backspace, rewriting the same line 3 times. Every time I blinked, I saw Ryan's face sweaty from practice, hair sticking to his forehead, jaw tight as if he regretted every syllable he had let slip. Ryan Archer, the guy who never missed a shot, who knew it and reminded the rest of us every damn day. The guy who called me quiet boy like it was an insult, who rolled his eyes whenever coach asked me to step in, who loved showing off in ways that made me grind my teeth. And yet, tonight, the same guy had whispered love into the air. I should have dismissed it, should have convinced myself I misheard. But I hadn't. I knew the cadence of his voice too well. Years of playing side by side had etched it into me like a permanent scar. It was real, and now it was ruining me. My phone buzzed on the desk, jolting me back to the present. A text notification lit up the screen. Ryan, of course. Forgot my hoodie. Did you grab it? I stared at the message, pulse racing. Typical. He didn't even realize he'd dropped a bombshell tonight. I typed, erased, typed again. Finally, I settled on, no, probably still in the locker room. 3 dots appeared, flickered, vanished. Then cool. Night. I let the phone drop onto my bed, staring at the ceiling. Night. Like it was just another evening. Like my heart wasn't pounding so loud I thought it might explode. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I was back in the gym, shadows stretching across the polished floor, Ryan's voice sinking into me like it belonged there. By morning, my body felt like lead. My mom called from downstairs, her usual cheerful, "Ethan, breakfast." But the thought of food made me nauseous. I dragged myself into jeans, threw on a hoodie, and headed to school, praying Ryan wouldn't look at me differently, praying and dreading it at the same time. The hallways buzzed with the usual chaos. Lockers slamming, kids laughing, the faint smell of cafeteria food already seeping into the air. And then I saw him. Ryan leaned against his locker, surrounded by the usual crowd of teammates and girls who seemed to orbit him like planets. His laugh was sharp, cocky, but his eyes, God, those eyes flicked up and met mine across the hall. For a fraction of a second, the noise around us dissolved. His smirk faltered just slightly, just enough for me to wonder if he knew. If he guessed I'd heard him. I looked away first, heat burning up my neck. "Yo, Ethan." Jared, another teammate, clapped me on the back as he passed. "Big game Friday. You ready?" I nodded mutely, forcing a smile. "Ready. Sure." Except my biggest battle wasn't going to be on the court, it was going to be surviving whatever the hell was happening between me and Ryan. By the time practice rolled around that afternoon, my nerves were shot. Coach's whistle cut through the air, echoing off the gym walls as we ran drills. My legs moved on autopilot, but my mind was a storm. Every time Ryan's shoulder brushed mine, every time his voice barked my name, I felt the crackle of something dangerous beneath my skin. At one point, he caught my pass with a grin too sharp to be casual. "Finally awake, quiet boy?" I glared at him, though my heart betrayed me with its frantic rhythm. "Shut up and play, Archer." He laughed, loud and easy, but there was something in his gaze, something that lingered too long, pressed too deep. Later, when practice ended and the others filed out, I lingered, tying and readying my shoelaces just to buy time. Ryan was the last one left, stuffing his gear into his duffel. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Cleared my throat. Hey, did you, find your hoodie? Ryan paused, glanced up. For once, his grin didn't come easy. Yeah, locker room, where I left it. The way he said a tight clip told me everything. He remembered last night. He remembered what he'd said. My pulse thundered. Ryan, but before I could finish, he slung the bag over his shoulder and walked out, leaving me standing in the hollow echo of the gym, words stuck in my throat. That night, the storm only grew louder. Ryan avoided me for 2 days. 2 days of practiced indifference, of walking past each other in the halls like strangers, of exchanging the bare minimum on the court. The rest of the team didn't notice, but I did. Every silence from him was deafening. By Friday night, the night of our biggest home game, I was unraveling. The gym was packed, the stands overflowing with students and parents. The air pulsed with chants, sneakers squeaking, the band blaring from the corner. But all I could focus on was him. Ryan stood across from me during warm-ups, shooting basket after basket like a machine. He looked untouchable, confident, composed, everything he always was. But I knew better. His shoulders were too rigid, his jaw too tight. Coach barked at us to huddle. Ryan's arm brushed mine as we leaned in, and the electricity of it nearly floored me. He didn't look at me, not once, but I felt him every second. The game began, fast and brutal. The opposing team was relentless, their defense suffocating. But Ryan was fire, unstoppable, weaving through them like they were nothing. Every shot he made lit up the crowd. I did my part: assists, rebounds, defense, but my chest ached with every second that passed without us speaking. By the fourth quarter, we were tied. The scoreboard glowed bright, the crowd screaming. Sweat dripped down my temple, my lungs burning. Coach called timeout, drawing up the final play. "All right," he said, stabbing his marker across the whiteboard. "We get the ball to Archer. He takes the last shot." Of course, always him. We broke, adrenaline surging. The whistle blew. The ball snapped into my hands, the clock bleeding down. 10 seconds. I looked up. Ryan was already moving, breaking free from his defender, hand outstretched. And then it happened too fast, too brutal. One of the opposing players shoved him hard, sending him crashing to the floor. The ref's whistle split the air, the gym exploding in shouts. Ryan groaned, clutching his ankle. My heart stopped. He tried to stand, but pain twisted his face. And for once, Ryan Archer, the unshakable, arrogant star, looked fragile. "Ethan, you're in," Coach barked. Everything blurred. The ball was back in play, the crowd deafening. My hands shook as I dribbled down the court. 5 seconds. Ryan was on the bench now, clutching ice to his ankle, eyes locked on me. Something in that look, raw, desperate, pleading, lit a fire in me. 3 seconds. I faked left, cut right, leapt. The ball left my hands at the buzzer. Swish. The gym erupted. We'd won. But the cheers, the backslaps, the celebration, all of it faded as I looked to the bench. Ryan was still watching me, his expression unreadable. After the chaos died down, after Coach's speech and the locker room roars, I found him sitting alone in the hallway, ankle wrapped, duffel at his feet. His usual bravado was gone. "You were incredible," he said quietly, eyes on the floor. I leaned against the wall beside him, my heart pounding. "You almost broke your ankle out there." He huffed a humorless laugh. "Yeah, figures." Silence stretched. My chest tightened. This was it. Either I asked or I lived the rest of my life with questions. "Ryan," I said, voice rough, "the other night, in the gym, I heard you." His head snapped up, eyes wide. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked afraid. "I didn't mean," he stopped, swallowed hard. "I wasn't supposed to say that out loud." "But you did." His jaw clenched. "Yeah, I did." The hallway buzzed faintly with voices from down the corridor. But here, it was just us, the weight of unspoken years pressing in. I stepped closer. "Why hide it? Why hide me?" He dragged a hand through his hair, frustration twisting his features. "Because you don't get it, Ethan. I'm supposed to be this guy, you know? The one who never cracks. The one who wins. And if anyone knew if they knew how I feel about you, he broke off, shaking his head. It would ruin everything. My chest ached. And what about me? You think I'm just gonna stand here, pretending I didn't hear the one thing I've wanted to hear since freshman year? His eyes snapped to mine, stunned. What? I laughed, shaky, bitter. Yeah, surprise. I've been falling for the arrogant jerk who calls me quiet boy since the day we met. Congrats. For a heartbeat, silence. Then Ryan surged to his feet, ignoring the pain in his ankle, and before I could move, his hands cupped my face, and his mouth crashed into mine. It was clumsy, desperate, searing. Every ounce of anger and longing and fear poured into it. My knees nearly buckled, but I clung to him like the world might end. When we broke apart, breathless, his forehead pressed to mine, Ryan whispered, I don't care anymore. Let them know. Let the whole damn world know. Tears stung my eyes. I laughed, half sob, half joy. You're insane. Yeah, he said, smiling for real this time. Insane about you. From that night forward, everything changed. It wasn't easy. Whispers followed us down hallways. Some teammates were supportive, others not so much. But Ryan stood tall, his arms slung around my shoulders like he'd been waiting his whole life to do it. And me? For once, I wasn't just quiet boy. I was his. We fought sometimes, of course we did. He was stubborn, I was guarded. But every fight ended the same way, with apologies murmured against lips, with laughter breaking through tears. And on the nights when doubt crept in, when the world felt too heavy, Ryan would whisper those same words he once thought I'd never hear. I love him. And this time, he always made sure I was listening. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.